everyone. Can you hear me up there? Hello, everyone. Hi there, and our folks online as well. Thank you so much, and good morning. Thank you for joining in with us virtually for the 2023 Undergraduate Research Awards recognition event. Before we begin, I'd like to start by acknowledging the lands and people of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation. We are thankful to be welcomed on these lands in friendship. The lands we are situated on are covered under the Williams Treaties and the traditional territory of the Mississaugas, a branch of the Greater Anishinaabe Nation, including Algonquin, Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi. These lands remain home to a number of Indigenous nations and people. We acknowledge this land out of respect for the Indigenous nations who have cared for Turtle Island, also called North America, from before the arrival of settler peoples until this day. Most importantly, we remember the history of these lands has been tainted by poor treatment and a lack of friendship with the First Nations who call them home. This history is something we are all affected by, as we are all treaty people in Canada. We all have a shared history to reflect on, and each of us is affected by this history in different ways. Our past defines our present, but if we move forward as friends and allies, then it does not have to define our future. Now, because we have some folks tuning in online with us today from across a variety of cities, I'd like to encourage everyone to take a moment to acknowledge the land that they are on. As a university community, we are dedicated to continuing to increase our awareness, understanding, and gratitude for the lands we share. Thank you. Now for introductions, my name is Kate Gambier, and I coordinate the exciting Undergraduate Research Awards program for the Office of Research Services under the Vice President, Research and Innovation at Ontario Tech. We have an exciting event planned for you all this morning, and we encourage you to take photos and tag us in all your posts at OTVP Research on social media. Now, a few housekeeping items. As a reminder, the event today is being recorded and photographed. For those online, captions can be enabled with the CC closed caption button on the bottom panel of your screen. And if you have any questions throughout, let us know in the chat. Now, let's get into our program for today. This event gives us the opportunity to celebrate our absolutely exceptional students and promote the importance of undergraduate research at our university. I would like to pay a special welcome to our guests in attendance today, including esteemed deans from across the university, staff members from the Office of the Vice President Research Innovation and the Office of Research Services, as well as our other departments, faculty members, and project supervisors, industry representatives, our guest speaker, and of course, our Undergraduate Research Award recipients. The 2023 URA competition was incredibly strong, and there were so many deserving applicants across our faculties. So congratulations to every single one of you on receiving an award. Today is a celebration of your contributions to research and to your educational journey. Your work over these past few months has made a huge contribution to the research enterprise at Ontario Tech University, and your efforts are inspirational to the entire university community. I'd now like to invite Dr. Les Jacobs, Vice President, Research and Innovation, to offer greetings to our attendees today.
Thank you, Kate, and it's terrific to see people here in person. It still feels like a bit of a novelty to have in-person events, and of course also to have people joining us online. I would highlight that there are still many bonuses of being here in person. Among other things, we do get to go outside and have a barbecue on Polonsky Commons. It's always sort of a delight to enjoy the campus. And so I'm really pleased to see so many of you here, like say in person, but also online. To a certain extent, this event or celebration exemplifies what the university wants to be. And I say that some of you have probably heard my general sort of line that there are two general differentiators of the university's enterprise. One is that we don't try to be a comprehensive university. It's a very, I tend to say there are really two differentiated universities in Ontario. On one end, OCAD, and on the other hand, Ontario Tech. And kudos to OCAD for likewise sticking to the ambition of not trying to do everything. What we try to do at a world-class level. And that is our standard, that is our aspiration. And the cost we have is we don't have everything. But as in a global economy where that is more and more a strength, I think that the value of that is paying off. And the second distinguishing feature, again, that some of you have heard me say that I sort of coin, is to say most university research enterprises, the universities develop cool technology, they develop effective, interesting, important research, and then they try to push it out to industry partners, community partners, and they hope it sticks. Most of the time, of course, university research, when it's pushed out in that way, doesn't stick. It just kind of falls through the cracks, and all of us who are academics know that you have this terrific paper, it gets published in a fabulous venue, you get some citations by other academics, but not necessarily great pickup on the push model. Ontario Tech is really differentiating itself in Ontario, in Canada, and arguably in the world by really trying to be a pull university. And by that, I mean, rather than just developing research on our own and push it out and hope it sticks, we actually really engage and listen to our partners. It's really, the research enterprise is, for most of us, highly collaborative with our research partners. At Ontario Tech, a lot of those research partners are industry partners, but they're not just industry partners. They're sometimes community partners. In some instances, they're government partners. But we really listen, and a lot of our researchers, and definitely at the institutional level, the strategic level, we actually listen to what we hear, and we develop research projects, programs around what we hear, what we, if you want, pull in. And that's not everything sticks with a pull model either, but the reality is it's far more likely to pull a stick. And I think that what we've really seen in the last 4 or 5 years, I came in 2019, has been this joint differentiator about not being comprehensive and a real sort of pull approach to the research enterprise. We're really seeing it have legs. We're really seeing our reputation increase. The last 2 years in a row, we've been designated one of Canada's Research Universities of the Year, in effect, in recognition of the incredible successes we've had. We've also made great strides on research funding that are really sort of reflective of that success. And a lot of that advance in research funding has come from working closely with our research partners. And so there's a real sort of sense that sticking with those differentiators has really paid off. And it is continuing to pay off. In a broader context, there are all sorts of things going on either in the background or in the foreground that we're trying to cement those two differentiators. All sorts of things, like there's a team here from Brilliant Catalyst around entrepreneurship. really, that's a real attempt on the university's part to differentiate itself in the last 4 years. We have Brilliant Energy Institute, again, trying to really kind of consolidate some of that push or pull character. All these kinds of things that where we've revamped ACE, which is the single biggest research infrastructure in the university, a sort of $125 million structure. It's now under my office. It's a core research facility. It does some of this poll stuff really well, but now we really are using it to pull in all sorts of partners who otherwise hadn't really engaged in the research enterprise. So lots of things going on. Most of you, of course, are here for the Undergraduate Research Awards. The smaller sort of, well, I should say it's not a smaller story. Another strand of the differentiator is around our undergraduate experience. Because we are a small university with a significant amount of undergraduate students, in a way for a highly research-intensive university, a disproportionate number of undergraduate students. A key part of the research enterprise has to be our undergraduate students. We cannot rely on our graduate student body. We're just too small. And rather than viewing that as a weakness, we actually are really positioning it as a strength. It's a strength for our high school students. There are a group that I had a lovely conversation with who are from high school who are thinking about where to go. And one of the attractions of Ontario Tech is that we really strive to provide research opportunities for our undergraduates. And the award winners today are a marquee showcase of that. But again, it only just touches the surface of all the research opportunities that we provide our undergraduates. If you come to Ontario Tech and you're interested in having a research opportunity, you can get it. And that, again, is no other big university in Ontario can actually say that. It's a virtual guarantee if you really are looking for that opportunity. The second piece, and this is a little bit more nuanced, is, and obviously the virtue of the research opportunities, it happens outside of your traditional academic programming. It's not, research opportunities can happen as part of your academic programming, but it can happen outside. And there are a number of students here who are working with professors who actually aren't even in their programs, because we are really focused on the research opportunity, not as simply an appendage to their academic program. The second thing that we really are trying to do, and hopefully some of you did get exposure to this, is we really are trying to differentiate ourselves by highlighting opportunities for entrepreneurship among our undergraduate students. The launch of Brilliant Catalyst is really differentiating ourselves. We're having huge success with that program. When I first came, Brilliant Catalyst touched 24 students a year, and now we're touching about 1,000 students a year. So if you kind of put it in just simple playing with numbers, but imagine that touches 4,000 students over a 4-year time period. That's close to 50% of our student body. And ideally, over the next 3 or 4 years, we get that up to 1,500 to 2,000. So we literally touch our entire student body for entrepreneurship. And it's not because entrepreneurship is going to stick on for everyone, but entrepreneurship teaches some different things that typically you don't get in academic programs. Probably most importantly, the value of failure and the lessons learned from failure. We have, for the most part, academic programs are not particularly forgiving around failures. But the entrepreneurship, creates sort of a certain resilience, all of those kinds of things that are really valuable. And so if you sort of think about what I'm sort of broadly saying for all of you who have invested either as faculty supervisors or students into the undergraduate research opportunities that we're celebrating here, there are those sort of four features that are in combination unique at Ontario Tech, and we're very proud of, and fundamentally we're investing in. And I'm not talking just about investing in money, I'm talking about investing in our commitments, our principles, really following through and committing to that on principle. These particular awards, there's 40 awards, and you'll hear much more detail about them in a moment. In terms of investment, it's this summer, it's $360,000 investment in students on this particular program these awards. Again, a sizable commitment from this university in broader scheme of things. And so I want to say congratulations. I'm always delighted to see this kind of element, and ideally my team will just continue to cascade the successes and increase these opportunities and invest more and more. And Jen will probably, truthfully, Jen, I don't know whether you do this, but we did significantly increase the STAR program this year, and ideally we'll continue to increase it and invest in it because it really comes down to, it is a fundamental foundation of what differentiates Ontario Tech. So thank you very much, and I look forward to shaking all of your hands.
All right, thank you. And now we have Jennifer Freeman here, Executive Director, Office of Research Services, to say a few words. And thank you also to Les for your remarks today.
Thank you, Caitlin, and thank you, Les, for the opening remarks. Again, it's great to see you all here today in person. This is exciting, and the virtual group. I can't see you, but I welcome you as well. So good morning, and my name is Jennifer Freeman, the Executive Director for the Office of Research Services. And as I said, I'm absolutely elated to welcome all of you here today to this celebration of the Undergraduate Student Research Awards program. It's great to see the range of attendees that we have here, both virtually and on campus, our students, our faculty members, researchers, staff, alumni, and other distinguished guests. We would really also like to pay a special thank you and welcome to our guests from the ministry. We have representatives from industry here, community, also in our presence. So this will be a great opportunity for you to network and meet those distinguished guests as well. Today is a special occasion for not just our student researchers, but also it's an event that we're bringing back. We keep saying this, bringing back in person. So it's our first one back in person in a while. So we're dusting off some of the practices for an in-person event. So we welcome your feedback on the event today. As well, it's hard to believe that this program started over 17 years ago. So it's been going on for quite a long period of time. The university is coming up to 20 years. I've been here 18 years. It's really hard to say. But I have, and I've been able to see the growth and expansion of this program. Not sure if you're aware, but fun fact, call out to our Faculty of Science. It did start there. That was where it started. And then it was handed over to the Office of Research Services back many years ago. So we thank them for their innovation there, and it's continued to grow as a result of them planting the seed for this program. So while the program has evolved over the years, the aim of the program remains steadfast: to offer our undergraduate students the opportunity to gain hands-on practical research experience in their field through interactions with leading researchers at Ontario Tech. And it was exciting to see some of the videos because a lot of you were talking about how great the opportunity was, and I have to say the video is really well done. So kudos to everybody who participated in that part of it. Today, we are here to celebrate all of you. So I would like you to clap. And those virtually, you can raise your hands, but give a clap for yourself and your colleagues that are here. So this is the audience participation. So I don't know if virtually anybody good. All right. So we got all those emojis and other things on there. That's my dating. Are the emojis still on? Okay, good. I would like to thank some of our sponsors for the Undergraduate Student Research Awards. So the university does contribute quite a bit. The faculty supervisors contribute, but we did have awards through the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada, or the NSERC USRA program, as they affectionately call it, and then our Student Training Assistantship and Research Program, or the STAR Award. We are really delighted that we are bringing together new programs through the Canadian Institutes of Health Research and also the Social Sciences Humanities Research Council of Canada. They are doing targeted programs to support and increase the involvement of Black researchers within the academy. So it's very exciting that those programs are launching this summer and fall. So we're excited to have those additions to the program. We also would like to give a big shout out and thank you, and this is another participation activity, to the project supervisors. Without the project supervisors, you wouldn't have these opportunities, and they really give life to this university and to the skills and training. So this is where a big shout out, clap, and if you want to stand for them. But we are very fortunate here to have outstanding faculty members who are excellent in their field of study and have made significant impact, not only in an academic sense, but also to community, industry, and beyond in innovating and driving scientific achievement. So we thank them. Also, too, just to give you some stats, we had over 100 applicants this year, so it was a highly competitive program. In the end, only 40 could be awarded the awards. So again, kudos. It's a really challenging process to get through, so you should be really proud of your achievement and success here. Again, I would like to talk on the breadth. I hope you got an opportunity to see the videos. But it is amazing to see the breadth of research that you're able to participate in. I mean, there was research involving drones and blockchain and traffic management. There was clean hydrogen production, robotics, and additive manufacturing, small modular reactors and other nuclear applications, health applications. We were looking at weather and the impact on lung, neck pain, gene therapy, ergonomics, dementia. The list goes on. Lots in science as well, modeling of molecular transformations, effects on toxins, on fish and aquatic life, and as well security, passwords, very interesting, timely topics that have significant impact on where we are going globally. So again, thank you for all your contributions and wonderful videos. They were absolutely outstanding. So again, you can clap. I like the participation part. So again, thank you so much for coming today. We do truly appreciate your involvement in this program. We appreciate our researchers, the students, everybody here today. It is a collective effort, and thank you so much. And without further ado, now I'm going to give an opening for our speaker, our guest speaker. So this is an exciting part. We're bringing back a student. So you get to, this is exciting, and current student. So it is my great pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest speaker, Astrid D'Souza. Astrid graduated with a Bachelor of Science from Ontario Tech and then doubled down. She worked hard on her Ontario Tech alumni status, and she obtained her Master of Health Science. Her experiences in research led her to work with equity-deserving groups, those with disabilities, and those who experience multiple barriers in life. Currently, Astrid is a PhD candidate in the Faculty of Health Sciences. Her thesis focuses on Indigenous health and disability, specifically pain-related disabilities among Indigenous peoples in Canada. So thank you, Astrid, for being here today. We really appreciate it and your continued commitment to Ontario Tech. You get to share your journey here, and so we're excited to have you present today. So after Astrid has spoken, it's open for question and answer. So feel free to jot down your questions, and then you can grill Astrid on her experiences and her talk. So thank you so much, Astrid. Feel free to come up. Thank you very much.
Hopefully everyone can hear me. All good? Okay, I see some thumbs up. Awesome. Thanks so much, Jennifer, for that kind introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm Astrid D'Souza, and today I was invited to talk to you all a little bit about my own research journey here at Ontario Tech. So next slide, please, Victoria. Awesome. Thank you. So given that today's focus is Undergraduate Research Awards, I figured what better way to start than actually talk about research. I feel like we see the term, but what does it mean? So according to our good friend Wikipedia, research is defined as creative and systematic work undertaken to increase the stock of knowledge. It involves the collection, organization, and analysis of evidence to increase understanding of a topic, characterized by particular attentiveness to controlling sources of bias and error. So as undergraduate researchers, all of you are really partaking in really unique and different opportunities over the past couple weeks, with the goal really to increase your knowledge and understanding in a particular field or in a particular area. And in order to do that, some of you might have conducted experiments under a fume hood. Some of you might have performed literature searches, analyzed data that was already gathered, so secondary analysis, and maybe some of you even had the opportunities to conduct participant interviews. Regardless of your research project this summer, in order to do all these tasks, it really requires specific skills. So whether that's technical skills, whether those are soft skills, so teamwork skills, time management, being organized, critical thinking, all of these skills encompass what we like to call research. So for all of you who are brave enough really to take the opportunity and participate in a URA this summer, I really wanted to congratulate each and every one of you, because you didn't just do research, you had to do all of these skills and really use all these skills and challenge yourself in order to rise to the occasion. So you should all be really proud of what you've accomplished over the past few weeks and what you've been a part of. And no doubt the skills that you've used and any new skills that you've learned, you'll be able to use and carry on with you with your future endeavors. Next slide, please. Okay. So now that all of you have had a chance to learn a little bit about research over the past few weeks, I'm sure you can really appreciate that research really is a process and nothing happens overnight. So when it comes to this, there's a lot of planning that's involved, a lot of brainstorming to come up with that research question. It involves doing a lot of pre-research, so to speak. And then you really have to show that there is a gap in knowledge and why your project is needed. Figuring out which research design would be best suited to help you answer your research question, and then actually collecting the data. Once you have all that data, well, then what do? Then you have to figure out how to report your findings, your knowledge translation strategies, and then this might actually lead to more research questions. And so this cycle continues in this research process. So what's really important to understand is that research really isn't a linear process. And so sometimes we might get to step 4 or step 5, for example, within that research process, but then you realize that you have to go back to step 2, and you might have to redo a couple things or go back and revisit the literature and then work your way back to step 4 or step 5. And I think oftentimes as students doing research, especially if it's for the first time, we might feel that we have to do things step by step. And we do have to do that to a certain extent. We want to be logical and have that flow. But really, sometimes in order to take those steps, we might have to take a couple backwards in order to then move forward with the process. And that's completely okay as well. And I think sometimes we might forget that as students, especially if it's our first time doing research, we want to do a really great job. And that's okay. So when you think about this research process really is a research journey, and everyone's journey is going to look differently. So over the next few slides, what I thought I'd do is just share a little bit about my own research journey. So unlike those of you who were brave enough to participate in a URA this year, during my undergrad, I actually wanted nothing to do with research, believe it or not. So to clarify, I didn't want anything to do with research surrounding the courses that I had to take. So in my undergrad, I did my degree in life sciences, and the majority of courses that I had to take would always have lab components. And by the time I got to 4th year, I realized that working under a fume hood, putting together solutions, pipetting, working under a microscope, none of those things are really what I wanted to do long term. But what I did enjoy doing was learning about different health conditions, different diseases, and actually talking to individuals. So more so, I guess, field work, so to speak, in that regard. And so after my undergraduate degree, I started my master's in health science, focusing on community health. And this is really where I got to not just further build on my quantitative skills, but also learn about qualitative research as well and the importance of both. And so for my master's work, my thesis focused on how parents who have children with asthma make decisions surrounding physical activity for their child, and to what extent do they consider the physical or built environment within that decision-making process. And so although I was trained technically with those lab-based skills during my undergrad, for my master's, I was really able to step outside my comfort zone and learn more about different methodologies, which is always a bonus when you're a graduate student. So after that, oftentimes, after a master's, many students go straight into a PhD. They're kind of in the zone, they want to continue on, and that's great too. I, however, was not one of those students. After my master's, I thought it was really important for me to get some work experience. Not that research isn't work experience, it is. For me, I guess I just wanted to be able to step outside of academia and use what I'd learned in textbooks, in class, in my research, and then go out into the field and then really be able to apply that to real time and those real situations. So I did a couple years of work experience in different places, got some really great experience, and all of those experiences that I had, whether it was working with marginalized youth, youth who were living with different disabilities, undergraduate students as well, all of this played a huge role in informing the trajectory of my current PhD thesis work, which at the time I didn't really realize, but oftentimes when you look back and reflect, that's when you realize, oh wait, I did that, and because of that, that really is helping me currently, right? So in that case, right now for my current PhD, as Jennifer mentioned, it focuses on Indigenous health and disabilities, so specifically exploring pain-related disabilities among Indigenous peoples here in Canada, and all the experiences that I had in working in different situations played a role in informing that trajectory. And so next slide, thank you. And so I guess the million-dollar question, why do research here at Ontario Tech University? So after taking part in undergraduate research, many of you are hopefully now considering pursuing further education and maybe even looking into master's programs. So fun fact, all my research experience to date has been at Ontario Tech. And the great thing about being a graduate or even an undergraduate student here is that there are always plenty of opportunities to learn about different research projects, as mentioned previously. So professors are always, at least from my experience, professors are always really excited to talk about their research projects, what they have coming up, anything in the works. And that often means that there are opportunities for you as students to get involved in various capacities. So just to give you an example, I guess, I'm currently finishing up my third year in my PhD program, and already I've had numerous opportunities to date to participate in different research projects outside my own thesis work. So I've been a part of different systematic reviews. I'm not too sure if anyone had the chance to do any systematic or scoping reviews this summer, but I've had a chance to be a part of those. I've also had a chance during the pandemic to be a part of a COVID-19 related project. So there was data that was gathered during the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, and I was able to be part of a research team where we analyzed that data, Canadian data, to look at those who were living with long-term conditions and disabilities during the pandemic and unmet rehabilitation needs. So as a graduate student, that's always really cool being a part of all those different opportunities that are outside your own thesis work, and not just work with individuals at our university and professors at our university, but also with others from different universities, locally, but globally as well. And so as graduate students, here especially, you have many opportunities, I would say, to also apply for grant applications and be a part of that whole process and practicing that, which is always really important because this is a skill that doesn't happen overnight. It's something that really takes a lot of time and practice. So being able to do things like that with your supervisor really is important. So as a graduate student, I've also been able to practice a lot of that as well with my supervisor. We're also able to learn from professors who are really doing some really innovative and groundbreaking research and who are really leaders in their field, which is really great to learn from mentors who are leaders in their field. Also, as a graduate student here, I'm not too sure about other universities, but here we do have a competitive funding package to support students, which is always really great to hear. And so for me, all of this played a huge role when it came to choosing Ontario Tech to continue on with my graduate studies, because oftentimes at larger universities with many, many more students, as you can see from this slide, oftentimes opportunities might be a bit harder to come across. So that's always something to keep in mind. And so I would really encourage all the undergraduates who are maybe thinking about graduate studies to really reach out to different professors, ask questions, learn about the different opportunities that are available to you. And if they're not available to you, try and create your own opportunities and be an active player in your research journey. And so just to wrap things up, because no one wants to hear me speak for another 10 minutes, I wanted to leave you all with 5 main things that I've learned as a graduate student and that I hope all the undergraduates here today can kind of take with them. So first and foremost, as I mentioned before, and as we can see from this slide, research is not a linear process. So in my limited experience, very rarely do things go as planned. But what's important really is that you don't give up and that you just try and find another way. Oftentimes there's a way, it just might take some time to kind of find it. So you just want to keep going. Number 2, not everyone reinvents the wheel. So I know we all want to cure cancer and change the world, but oftentimes doing research really means contributing to an already existing body of knowledge. And that in itself is a really important and valuable contribution, because then that means someone else can come along and further build upon the work that you've started. Number 3, you will actually learn more when things don't go your way or when they don't go as planned. And I know it might seem hard to believe, but trust me on this one. The times that I've learned the most, it's always been when things haven't always gone as planned the first time around. Number 4, there's no I in research. Research is a team sport. Nothing can be accomplished alone. So with the funding agencies that are often involved, partners, collaborators, co-authors, and many, many other individuals who you'll need to learn to work along and really to get projects done. And so it's not always an easy process, but it's a much needed one. And then last but not least, number 5, all our experiences, personal or professional, really inform the work and the research that we do and the researcher that we become. Whether that's intentional or unintentionally, all of these experiences play a huge role in shaping our research journey. And so with that, I guess I will end things off here. And I just wanted to say congratulations to all the Undergraduate Research Award recipients today. Well deserved and well done, and thank you.
Hello. So thank you so much for those words of wisdom, Astrid. So if anyone does have a question for Astrid, you can raise a hand, and if you want to ask a question directly. I didn't see any online yet, but we'll keep an eye out for those too. And for those, ask it in the chat. And if we don't get to your question today, we'll follow up with you after the event as well. If anyone has a question. Okay.
Thanks. I'll kick it off. Then you all have to ask a question. That's how this works. So I'm just curious, you talked about how some of the trials or where things didn't go right turned into some of the greatest learning experiences. I'm just curious, for you, what is the one that stands out most, where you had something that didn't go your way and then it turned into something that really taught you something or informed the research or whatever it may be? Just curious about your experience.
So that's a great question. I'm going to try and have to pick one because there have been many. So I guess I'll pick an example from my master's. So right after my undergrad, when I started my master's, I really didn't know much about all the different quantitative, qualitative research methodologies outside what I had been exposed to doing my life science degree. And so when I was doing my master's, I very quickly learned that the research process, oftentimes you can have everything ready to go, but oftentimes with research ethics and all these other things that play a role, your timeline shifts a lot and you really have to be able to kind of go with the flow, so to speak. So that was really a big learning curve for me because I'm someone who really likes to get things done early, but sometimes it really doesn't all just fall on you. Sometimes there are these other external components that come into play as well. And so for me, going through that process, recruiting participants was another one. So for my master's, I had to recruit parents to talk to and do interviews with, and then to analyze their transcripts and pull out all these themes. So in that case, recruiting participants is not as easy as one would think. Believe it or not, it's quite challenging at times to find parents to talk to about physical activity for their child or asthma. So for me, just that whole waiting process, I would say, was really eye-opening, and just learning about how sometimes your timeline might be one thing, but you have to also be flexible in terms of other things that are really out of your control. So that really, again, for me, moving forward now into my PhD, I've been able to take that with me and kind of keep that in mind. So that's been really helpful.
Thanks very much, Astrid. I just had a question. What do you plan to do after you finish your PhD? That's the first part. And the second part is, what have you been told about the options for what you can do for your PhD?
So great question again. I think that's often the question everyone always asks. Well, what are you going to do after your PhD? And to be quite honest with you, I don't know. I don't know because there are so many opportunities, the ones that I know of and then the ones that I don't know of. So I think for me, after my PhD, what's really important is finding a job that I'm passionate about, whether that's in academia or maybe that's in industry or maybe that's working for nonprofit organizations. There are lots of opportunities to do research. It just might be presented in different ways. So I think for me, after my PhD, finding a job where I can use the skills that I've learned during my PhD, working with equity deserving groups, and really helping communities, that's something that I hope to do after my PhD. In terms of where, I'm not too particular. I think sky's the limit if you're open to the opportunities that are available to you and kind of look for them. And then, so sorry, what was the second part again?
Just what are the options that have been presented to you?
So as a PhD student, like after my PhD, so the options that have been kind of presented to me really have been, I would say, anything really. So doing research within academia, just through minor conversations that I've had so far, because I'm not getting ready to defend just yet. I've just started my first study, so we have to do 3. So really through conversations that I've had with faculty or with my supervisor or others, it's really been so opportunities within the university, opportunities maybe at other universities, other organizations. So I would say have those conversations with your supervisors earlier rather than later, just to see what their thoughts are, because oftentimes they have a lot of collaborators and a lot of other individuals that they work with. So in that case, you can always ask. Don't be afraid to ask. What's the worst that can happen? They say no, I don't know. So it's always better to ask if there are certain particular jobs that you are interested in and you really want to get into certain fields. It's always better to ask those questions sooner rather than later.
Thank you for the talk and the inspirational sort of enthusiasm around research. An important part of what you're talking about is sort of, if you want, nimbleness, the kind of adapting. And do you have any advice for the undergraduates here about how they sort of develop or strengthen that ability or skill?
So a skill to adapt, right? Adapt to any situation. So as undergrads, I would say something that can kind of help when it comes to working on that sort of skill, or just being a bit more, I guess, to make things a little bit easier as you go along in your journey, is being involved. So as undergraduate students, hopefully many of you are involved in various other things as well, whether it's a part of student life, if you're a peer leader, maybe some of you are fourth year students and you actually get the opportunity to TA. That happens sometimes. Volunteering. So all of that plays a role when it comes to building those skills to adapt. Because when you're in different situations, you really have to use those skills, because things rarely go as planned, or you might expect one thing, but something else happens. So if you get a lot of exposure to different situations, it really does help when it comes to adapting to things when things might not go your way, because you've already been in those different situations, right? So I would say one of the things I would encourage everyone to do as students is get involved in different opportunities, research opportunities, non-research opportunities at the university, outside the university, and see what you're passionate about and what you enjoy doing, because all of that contributes towards helping you build those other skills as well.
Is that okay? Okay, awesome. So I was just kind of wondering, like, so the project that I did was very different from what you sort of talked about. Like, yours was very community health based, and we sat in a fume hood for the summer, right? So I'm just kind of wondering, like, for you exactly, what does the process look like? So obviously you had to collect survey data, like do reach out. How did you sort of do the reaching out? Like, what happens after that? Like, I'm just curious about the process.
Can you just say the last bit one more? So you want to know the process about my master's, or?
Yeah, like where you talked about you had to go and collect data about like the parents, right? So
Yeah.
talking to them and everything. So after you collect the data, what are you doing kind of after that? Like, how are your steps?
Of course. So I guess for my master's specifically, so for that project, I did a qualitative, like my thesis was qualitative based. So in that case, what I did was I talked to parents, but before I talked to parents, as always, there's like a research ethics process that you have to go through, where you have your interview questions that you're going to ask ahead of time. Everything has to be approved by the research board at the university. And if you're recruiting participants, like through Lakeridge, for example, or through other institutions, oftentimes they have their own research ethics forms that you have to fill out. So once I found my participants, so you put up flyers, you network, there's something called snowball sampling, where you pass along flyers, they pass it to others. So you recruit as many participants as you can, or that you need, depending on what your research question is and your research design and whatnot. So then after I talked to participants, I had to actually transcribe. So I didn't have anyone transcribe it for me. As a master's student, I had to do all that nitty-gritty stuff myself, I guess, so to speak. So I had to listen to hour, 2 hour long interviews that I had, and then type out word from word and have that transcript. And then after that, you kind of just go through a process where, just to kind of like summarize it, where I would read those transcripts and then highlight things that I thought were important. So kind of themes, if you will, that were important based on the research questions that I was asking. And so I would do all of that. But then you also want to make sure when you're talking to others, especially community members or other individuals, you want to make sure that you're actually capturing the essence of what they're saying too, right? Because I might interpret it one way. So I want to make sure that I'm interpreting their experiences as intended. So then I'd go back to my participants, be like, well, this is what I got out of our interview. What are your thoughts? Like, do you agree? Do you disagree? Did I capture the essence of our interview and what you were trying to share? And then, so there'd be that back and forth process. And then really, once everything's said, everything's good, you work on writing up your thesis and doing all of that. So yeah, so I know I skipped a lot of steps in between, but that's pretty much the gist of what I did for my master's. For my PhD is a little different now, but yeah. It is. You definitely learn a lot. You really build those communication skills when you're able to talk to different individuals. So yeah.
Great. So on behalf of everyone in attendance today, we'd like to thank you again, Astrid, for giving us this fantastic inspirational address and answering everyone's questions. If anyone has any further ones, you can always email them into the student research email and we'll pass them on to Astrid as well. So one final round of applause for Astrid today. Okay, so now, without further ado, we have the presentation of certificates to our 2023 Undergraduate Research Award recipients. And I'd first like to welcome Les and Jen back to the front, just over here, as well to congratulate each of our student award recipients and take photos with them as they receive their certificates. Thank you both. A quick housekeeping note for our student award recipients. The certificates are awarded in alphabetical order by first name. And first goes the star, followed by the NSERC USRA. If you wish to approach the front of the room to receive your certificate, you're welcome to do so, but noting that some may not be comfortable, you're also able to be acknowledged from wherever you are in the room, or for those virtually tuning in online as well. So you can begin to approach. As you hear your name move closer and closer down that list to keep things flowing. Come down to the left side here, and you can get your event package from Manjot and Angelina. You can take your certificate out if you wish to get a photo with it as well, or you can leave it in there as well. So everyone, feel free to applaud, cheer throughout as we award each of these certificates. All right, so this year we had 9 esteemed recipients of the STAR Award, and we had 31 recipients of the NSERC USRA. Firstly, we'll start with our STAR recipients, the Student Training Assistantships in Research Awards. Our first STAR recipient is Akshat Gupta, Immersive Technologies for Medical Education. Supervisor was Bill Capralos. All right, next we have Derek Zhang, Additive Metal Manufacturing of Precision Parts. Supervisor was Jana Abuziki. We have Minulega Yazdani, or Minu, Narrative of Downtown Oshawa, Developing Place-Based Knowing. Supervisor was Paris Garamone. Mohammed Mudassir, Understanding the Effects of Black Hole Growth and Growth Rate. Supervisor was Joseph McMillan. We have Omar Afzalzada, Increasing Student Problem-Solving Capacity. Supervisor Anna Duff. I'll give you a moment to travel there because you're coming from a long way. Come grab your items here. Congratulations, Omar. We had another round of applause for Omar. Thank you, everyone. So next up, we have Ramla Yakub, The Impact of the Shift to Pandemic Teaching on Women Scholars. Supervisor was Natalie Oman. Sorry for that. Next, we have Sarah Elgazar, Examining the Physical, Social, and Educational Benefits of Clean Exergame for Persons with Dementia to Promote Hand Hygiene and Influenza Vaccine Uptake. Supervisor Winnie Sun. Zara Sultani, An Intergenerational Approach to Breastfeeding Support. Supervisors, 2 of them, Manon Lamond and Jennifer Abistik. We have Zed Whitaker, Developing Online Test of Theory of Mind. Supervisor Bobby Stojanowski. Congratulations. Can we get another round of applause for Zed here? All right. So next up, we have our NSERC USRA recipients, the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada Undergraduate Student Research Awards. First of all, we have Adam Callanan, Nonlinear Dynamics and the Atmosphere, Supervisor Gregory Lewis. We have Alexander Keith, a blockchain-powered traffic management system for unmanned aerial vehicles, Supervisor Khalil El-Khatib. Amit Narsingh, low-carbon combined heat and power design, Supervisor Camille Gabriel. Just give them a moment to approach here. And don't forget, folks, we'll be going in alphabetical order. Congratulations. Can we get another round of applause here? All right. Next up, we have Braden Vanek, experimental study of nuclear decommissioning, Supervisor Glenn Harville. Derek Whalen, reliability and safety assessment of passive safety systems in small modular reactors, Supervisor Lixuan Liu. Davina Ramesh. You were all fast on that one. Isolation of cis loop receptor genes of Darofilaria immitis, or immitis, I can't remember. Immitis? Ah, okay. Supervisor Sean Forrester. We have Eltaf Kaudadan, fabrication of nanofibers for industrial applications, Supervisor Gauss Rizvi. Next up, we have Hunter Johnson, testing the effect. Oh! Testing the effects of temperature and humidity on individuals with COPD in the ACE Facility Climatic Chamber, a feasibility and pilot study. Supervisor Miko Nonoyama. Next, we have Evan Makar, novel protocol for investigating the impact of subclinical neck pain on cerebellar processing using VOR gain adaptation. Supervisor Bernadette Murphy. Next up, Jason Manaru, demonstration of hybrid energy system for interconnected infrastructures. Supervisor Hossam Gaber. Jessica Cleghorn, modeling molecular transformations in highly polar complexes. Supervisor Fedor Nomkin. Congratulations, Jessica. Another round of applause, everyone. We've been on pause since 2019, so you got lots of applause in you, I know. Okay, John Bunny, fabrication of nanofibers for industrial applications, Supervisor Gauss Rizvi. All right, Kevin Corey, development and testing of Stirling engines for sustainable energy, Supervisor Brendan McDonald. Kevin Corey, development and testing of, did I do that one? Sorry. Kamalpreet Gior, investigating toxic effects and protein changes upon exposure to short-chained polyfluorinated alkyl substances, PFAS, in fathead minnows. Supervisor Danina Simmons. Liba Solomon, human arm-based teleoperation and human-robot collaboration for electric excavators. Supervisor Jahosio. Liam, oh, well, hold up for a second. We've got a traffic jam. All right, next up we have Liam Edney, Graph Neural Networks for Recommender Systems. Supervisor Emirelli Salehi Abari. Massimo Gianmarco, investigating of gene silencing oligonucleotides. I got that one. Supervisor Jean-Paul Desaulnier. Mayowa Awe, characterization of a regulatory protein involved in bacterial cellulose biosynthesis. Supervisor Janice Strapp. Megan Westerick, forensic bloodstain degradation in the environment. Supervisor Teresa Stotesbury. Mihai Marian, energy harvesting from flow-induced vibration and noise. Supervisor Atif Mohani. Mitchell Scoot, quadruped robot-based UAV deployment and landing system for simultaneous autonomous inspection. Supervisor Scott Nuckleby. Maya Chinganda, assessing the reliability of maximum voluntary contraction protocols. Supervisor Nicola Delfa. Nathaniel Coolidge, passwordless authentication. Supervisor Julie Thorpe. Congratulations. Praveen Menikaval, phosphate transport in yeast. Supervisor Dario Bonetta. Congratulations. Rushi Rathod, demonstration of hybrid energy systems for interconnected infrastructures. Supervisor Hosam Gaber. Sonia Mirza, blood, sweat. Blood, sweat, and stress, a comparative functional analysis of human and bovine red blood cells. Supervisor Syed Qadri. Tanya Mandiangu, modulation of red blood cell functions in vitro. Supervisor Syed Qadri. Wajia Zahir, adversarial artificial intelligence cyber defense environment. Supervisor Shahram S. Haidari. Yara Mahmood, test case prioritization using machine learning in continuous integration environments. Supervisor Akramul Azim. Yasmin Fayaz, Zero Trust Security. Supervisor Stephen Marsh. And finally, Chin Jen, Experimental Study of Nuclear Decommissioning. Supervisor Glenn Harville. All right, and thank you to you both. You can rest those legs now. Appreciate it. So on behalf of the Office of the Vice President, Research and Innovation, and the Office of Research Services at Ontario Tech, our heartfelt thanks and congratulations to each of you outstanding 2023 STAR and NSERC USRA recipients. One final round of applause for everyone. Thank you. Your passion and drive for research has made Ontario Tech the leading university that it is today, and we hope to see you participate in future research initiatives in the years to come. We're so proud of what you've accomplished these last few months and encourage you to stay tuned this fall for the release of the 2024 program details. Now to announce our student video submission winner, who gained the most votes for their submission. This student researcher has pursued a very interesting topic, as they all are, and submitted some great photos where even their eyebrows were frozen with ice. Their research topic was testing the effects of temperature and humidity on individuals with COPD in the ACE Facility Climatic Chamber, a feasibility and pilot study. Congratulations to Hunter Johnson. Please come down. Sure. This one? And fabulous work there, Hunter, on that one. We're going to play the video now. Good on your end? Show it up, yeah? Okay. So hopefully folks at home can hear this video as well. Let us know in the chat, but we're going to play Hunter's video now for everyone. right. So fabulous work again to all of our students on your submissions and of course on your research itself. One final housekeeping note, we'll now be having a celebratory barbecue lunch out on Polonsky Commons between UA and UB. So you can feel free to eat outside if you wish. You can come back inside to eat up on the UB mezzanine, that will still be set up for you. And I believe some items are just inside the doors of the UB CAF just because I believe it's hot outside right now. Remember to bring your lunch ticket that you got at registration to get your meal at the barbecue. So today's celebration for our first time back in person since 2019 and a fond farewell to those attending virtually. Thank you to our event advisory committee, which included Angelina Rachkov, Victoria Velasquez Becerra, Elisa Beverly, Raluca Dubrowski, Menjot Sidhu, and thanks to Francis Arnaldo for assisting day of. I'd also like to thank our co-event coordinator, Akansha Parikh, for all of her support with this event. Now, a round of applause for all of these outstanding folks who put this together. Oh. Thank you. Appreciate that. And thank you again to our esteemed guest speaker, Astrid D'Souza, all of our project supervisors, and our other honored guests. It's been a pleasure to connect with you all today and celebrate undergraduate research at Ontario Tech. Thank you.